Hi, I'm Jeff, and welcome to another one of my videos where I give you the opportunity to test your comic book grading skills up against actual results from CGC. Yes, this is part 4 in this video series that I am doing with this open box that started off with 15 books that were submitted to CGC as part of the economy tier by friend to the channel, Octavio. Octavio, thank you as always for making your submission available to all of us so that we can practice our comic book grading skills. There's some, I think, worthwhile information in part 1 of this series, so I would refer you to that. I'll put the card for it right up there. I recommend starting with part 1 and moving through it. It is kind of a cumulative process that we're having here, but if you want to just stick around here with part 4 and have this be your first video, welcome. I appreciate you coming and checking it out. Let me give you a quick orientation as to what we do here. First, I'm going to show you a video that I made of the books from this submission when they were raw, before they got sent off to CGC. We're going to assess the books for any flaws, any damage, anything that might impact the grade negatively. Then we're going to give our best guess as to what we think the grade should be. Once we've done that, we're going to pull the next 3 books out of this submission, and we're going to take a look at the results from CGC. Did we nail the grade? Yay! Good for us. We're doing great. But more likely than not, we probably won't nail the grade. At least I know I don't. But that just gives me the opportunity to go back, look at the books when they were raw, look at the grader's notes, take all the information that I have, and try to better understand why CGC gives books the grades that they do. All right, that's enough for intro. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next 3 books from this submission when they were raw. First up today, we have Fantastic Four King Size Special, issue number 6. This is the Fantastic Four annual. CGC notes on the label that this contains the birth of Franklin Richards. It's also the first appearance of Annihilus. This book is a square-bound, oversized book. There's a bit of a miswrap there, but that miswrap will not affect the grade. But all the spine ticks, all the little tears, the ripped corner there, all the color rub, all the creases that break color, the ones that don't break color, deep, light, and in between, all of them will impact the grade negatively. I mean, if you don't focus too closely on the edges and the creases and the color breaks and the color rub and things like that, it's a very nice looking book. And once again, that is thanks to the press that it has received, making it absolutely as presentable as it's ever going to be. But flaws aside, it looks good, but we're here to look at the flaws. There appear to be much fewer flaws here on the back. This lighter color back will hide some of those damages from creases, but I don't even see much by way of, I mean, there's a crease right there a little bit, but I don't see much by way of creases. You look at the way that the light interacts with the paper. You see how it's all fairly smooth. I mean, it's textured, but relatively smooth. There aren't any kind of like divots, scratches. There's one right there. Now, but there weren't very many of them on the back of this book. This book, the quality of this back betrays the front, but the front has too much damage. I'm going to give it a 6.5. Next up, we have The Forever People, issue number 1. CGC notes on the label that this is the first full appearance of Darkseid, first appearance of Forever People, and there's a Superman and Jimmy Olsen appearance because they wanted to sell comic books. This book actually looks really pretty decent. This is one of the nicer looking books in this submission. That being said, you see the way that the staple has kind of torn the book there and all the minor color breaking spine ticks? Well, that's going to hurt the grade, definitely. Some little flaws in here, but once again, as I mentioned with the last book, look at the way that the light interacts with the paper. When it looks fairly smooth, textured, but smooth, that's how you know there's not much there by way of damage. The damage will change the plane of the paper, and you can see it the way the light bends when it interacts with it. Now, there does appear to be some tanning along the edges right here. Some creasing. Looks like that corner at one point got smashed. But the rest of this book looks pretty decent. That corner has some damage that couldn't be repaired by the press. But it all looks pretty good. This was a book that probably didn't suffer much by way of handling your storage damage, but it did get exposed to the air. It's a nice looking book. I'm going to give it one of the higher grades, give it a 7.5. And finally today we are looking at the first of 3 copies of X-Men 60 that we'll be looking at in this submission. We'll look at 1 copy today and 2 copies in part 5. CGC notes on the label that this is the origin and first appearance of Sauron, Dr. Carl Lycos. This book looks pretty decent as well, but you can see, look at all those color-breaking spine ticks up the spine there. There's a lot of them. And while they aren't like massive and extending far out from the spine, they're there, and there are many of them. In addition, there's this color rub. Now look at that scratch on the tail right there. I only point that out because we're going to use that to be an identifier for this book in this submission. So this is the scratch on tail version of this book. But there's also other creases and stuff going on the back. On the front. On the back, at first glance, it looks really pretty good. That corner's good. Yeah, a little stuff going on there along the edge, but nothing too dramatic. This doesn't appear to have the tanning that the last book had. That staple doesn't look like damage. It just looks like the printer missed the mark there a little bit. Yeah, it's pretty decent looking. I am not mad at the back of this book. I think this is another one whose back kind of betrays the front or vice versa. It's a nice looking book. I'm going to give it a 6.5. All right, so you've seen the next 3 books from this submission when they were raw. You've assessed them for their flaws, for their damage, for anything that might impact the grade negatively, and you've come up with your best guess as to what you think the grade might be. I have shared with you my best guess as to what the grade might be. Now we're going to see what the results are from CGC. Now, as I mentioned, this is part 4, so we only have 6 books left in here, and I'm going to pull out the next 3, all of which I'm doing at random. I haven't been cheating. I haven't been looking at here. I have no idea what the next book is going to be. At some point, I know that there's a Amazing Spider-Man issue number 124 that's supposed to be in here that we haven't seen yet. We'll see. Is it this one here? No! This is Fantastic Four Annual number 6. All right, let me go ahead and set this down real fast and take a look at what grade I gave this book. Okay. I assessed this book in my initial assessment when I saw it raw back in November of 2021. It was my assessment that it would be a 6.5. Now in this series, I've gotten some of them right on the money. Some of them I've been off by as much as 2 grade increments. I'm going to guess that I got this one. I think 6.5 is a grade range that I'm a little bit more knowledgeable with. So let's see. Did I nail the grade? Okay, let's find out. Did you nail the grade? Good for you if you did. Did I? No, I overgraded it a little bit. I was only off by 1 grade increment, which I consider to be a win. If I nail it or if I'm off by 1 grade increment, I can't be like, oh, I'm so wrong. What's wrong with me? So I was pretty close here. Obviously, it was a little bit, that had more negative aspects going on that I anticipated. But 6.5 to a 6.0 is not so bad. Generally, when I'm grading for myself, I always overgrade. If I think it's going to be a 6.0, I say 5.5, because it's part of the way that I protect my investment, because I'm always looking at what I paid for something, what it's going to cost to get graded and pressed and all that different stuff. What's the grade I expect it to be, and what's its final value going to be? And if I overgrade, meaning giving it a lower grade than I think it might get, and I still keep all that metric that I just described, then I'm more likely to not lose money when I'm buying raw books, for example, to get graded. So So I'm off in the wrong direction, but I'm not off by very much. So I'm pretty happy with this 6.0, even though my guess was a 6.5. Okay, let's see here. We got the next one. Let's see what it is here. Is it that Amazing Spider-Man 124? No! It's probably going to be the last one. This is Forever People, issue number 1. Let's go ahead and see what grade I gave it in my initial assessment. I think it's, there we go. I thought it was a 7.5. Now, once again, 7.5 is a range that I have a little bit more experience in. The 4s and the 5s, not so much. The 6s, kind of. The 7s is much more where I start to get comfortable. It doesn't mean I'm always right, but it means that I generally am a little bit closer than not. So let's stop talking and let's see. Did it get the 7.5 I expected? I'm about to find out. Did it get the grade you expected? Let's see. 7.5. Okay, great. So I feel pretty good about that. I nailed that, and I'm always happy to nail it. Like I said, I would have been happy with a 7.0 or an 8.0, but I got the grade perfectly correct. And I'm happy to say that once again, it's in a range that I was anticipating being more accurate. So that means that as I'm learning through the process of making these videos and grading my own books, I'm getting better and better at my grading, and that is just going to make me a more confident submitter to CGC. So I'm very, very happy to see this book get the grade that I expected. Okay, let's go ahead and set that there. And we have one more in this video today. I'm going to say it's not the Amazing Spider-Man 124, the second copy that I've been waiting for, and then watch it. That's exactly what it will be. No, see, okay, so I was right. It's not. But this is the first of 3 copies of this book, X-Men 60, that was part of this submission. So I know exactly what the final 3 books are going to be in part 5 of this, but we'll save that for the next video. Right now, I need to figure out which copy of X-Men number 60 this is. And I basically have scratches that I'm using. I'm going to keep the grade covered. There's a scratch on the leg, a scratch on the tail, and no scratch. This appears to be the scratch on the tail one. So I am going to find the scratch on the tail one and just double check it. Oh yeah, that's this one. Okay. So scratch on the tail one, I gave a 6.5. I'll be happy with a 6.5 or a 7.0, but my assessment was a 6.5. Let's see what the actual results are. Okay, did I nail it? Did you nail it? Did we both nail it? Let's see what happened here. 7.5. Okay, that's much better than I anticipated. So I was apparently much too hard on this book. I mean, just giving this book a quick glance right now, I'm very surprised by the 7.5. There is all the spine ticks here, and the scratch in the tail, and the creasing here in the corner. This does not match my expectation for a 7.5. I will be perfectly honest. That being said, I've said this in videos in the past, I am not a professional grader at CGC, so I always defer to them. We all like to have our opinions, but I defer to their expertise. So if they say this is a 7.5, I'm going to say, okay, it's a 7.5. But I would never look at this book and say that it's a 7.5, but this is an opportunity. I will still go back and I'll look at the book in the raw, I'll look at the grader's notes, which I'll be providing, and see if, you know, why I was so rough on it. But this is maybe a good learning opportunity, because there are books that I might not submit thinking, oh, that's a, you know, I thought this was a 6.5. We're like, I'm not going to submit it at a 6.5, but at a 7.5, I might go ahead and submit it. So it's good to know the difference, and so I'll be doing a little extra research on that. All right, so we have one more part of this video that will be coming up soon. If you are enjoying this video and you want to make sure not to miss part 5, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you're informed when I post part 5. In addition, If you like and appreciate this video and this content, likes are appreciated by me, so hit that like button. All right, thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.